Oh, you're in for a tart one tonight, folks. Ready? Get in there. Go through it, and then
Classical
I'll come up.
Rebellion. So it's
San
been
Diego Symphony. Yeah.
been quite a week.
Okay.
It's been quite a week. We had the opening of the San Diego Symphony concert last Saturday night. We
Mahler
dressed up for it.
We did. We wore
The whole
tuxedos.
rebellion wore tuxes.
Yeah.
And it was a very exciting evening.
It was. Full.
It was packed.
Yeah, lines out the lobby around the corner.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I thought that they would have to hold longer than they did to get everybody inside the theater because they're not really used to full houses, you know.
Yeah, the only time I've seen a line like that was during Comic-Con when the symphony did like a video game symphony that travels.
Well, the only other sellout I've ever been to at the symphony was when they played the score of The Godfather, and it was packed.
Oh, you mean they played?
They played the movie. They played the movie, and it was packed,
okay.
and that was a revelatory experience getting to see a movie with 2,400 other people.
Yeah, that is cool.
It was great. Yeah. We all laughed when Carlo got it in the back, you know, in the front seat of the Buick. You know, it was like, "Hello, Carlo." And everybody laughed, and then they all went.
Oh, shouldn't it?
Oh, that's what I do at home.
Yeah.
I guess we all do that, don't we?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. With the shadow, everyone's shadow suddenly
appeared.
Nervous
making there.
Yeah.
And Raphael Payar proved himself a very engaging,
really
buoyant, physically active, I think demonstrative conductor.
I think dynamo is a good word for him.
Yeah, and it was and you know, how do I say this?
Just say it, man.
There were problems.
Okay.
But first of all,
there were problems.
First of all, let me just say that my purpose in saying this is not to be unjustly critical. It's just to look at the thing objectively and say what happened. Now, the audience loved it. They had a great time.
Of course,
most of the people stayed to the end, except for the people in my row. They had a whole bunch of kids there, which they had given tickets to, who it didn't mean enough to them for them to stay for the Mahler.
That's a long haul.
They stayed for the first piece, which was relatively inconsequential. And then they got up and went, okay, we've been to the symphony, and they left.
Mm-hmm. We can write our papers.
By the vast majority of people, even near where I was sitting, were there. They stayed. There were about 10 kids in my row that got up and left.
Sure.
So, having said that, everybody had a great time. I think everybody is very excited about having Raphael Payar here to see what he can do with the orchestra. But he asked, the level of engagement that he gave them and asked them to follow was not commensurate, I found, in retrospect, with a truly refined performance, because they couldn't keep up with him.
Yeah.
Now, then that also, and okay, so in the last week, I've listened to Mahler 5. Particularly striking to me was a performance by John Barbirolli with the Houston Symphony Orchestra in 1966. So not many people know that he conducted in Houston for about 5 years. The Mahler 5 in Houston is just if it's on YouTube, it's a pirate recording. The sound is not the very best, but my God, listen to it. It is they nail it to the roof, and they don't take it at such tempi that there's more rubato in it. There's more speeding up and slowing down and speeding up and slowing down.
Well, that was his MO.
But there's reasons. You don't just play fast to play fast.
Exactly.
You've got to emphasize, if you want to play fast, you need to give some relaxation someplace else. And what our performance, I felt, really lacked was a lack of definition, because so much of that piece, the last movement, I believe the much of the second movement, they're so energetically involved.
Yeah.
Okay. And if now, I was also listening to an interview with Thomas Beecham, and the interviewer who
do tell.
Beecham's great. I love Beecham, man. I mean, he lays it out.
He does.
He freaking lays it out. Anyway, he said, have you, Maestro, have you ever felt that you were so carried away by the music that you lost control and became so involved that you were quite outside of yourself? And Beecham said, "Good God, no! Never been out of control in my life." And I did get the impression that, look, I mean, Beecham's whole thing was like, he said, look, they know the score. They know it 10 times better than you do. You're not going to educate the RSO. Yeah. You have them play it. They make their mistakes. You have them play it again. The way you looked at them fixes the mistakes. Then you detail a few things and you get on with it.
Right.
He said, well, he said, that's how I can do in 2 rehearsals what it takes other people in 6. Well, here we needed all 6 rehearsals.
Yeah.
But I still think that the level of excitement gave way to a little bit of out of control playing in places. There was no definition like you will hear Barbirolli get out of Houston.
Sure. So just to be clear, though, you are comparing Piare to Beecham and Barbirolli, and any conductor.
Well,
being talked about with those two.
Any conductor conductor who pins his coming reputation on the Mahler Fifth and stands up to with a major large budget symphony orchestra and says, "I am here." Well, you better be somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm not disputing that he is somebody.
No.
But I think maybe a little more stick and a little less jumping around.
Okay.
I'm really kind of over the idea that a conductor, and I have been for some time, that a conductor does not need to be histrionic.
Okay.
Look at what Beecham gets out of an orchestra.
Yeah.
Look at what Adrian Bolt gets out of an orchestra.
It's a much different audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but Mahler,
the music
Mahler
is the
himself
same.
was probably closer to
maybe
Piare than Beecham.
Well, Mahler conducted sitting down too, so
But there's the famous cartoon of him, like all these different.
But he's sitting down too. That's him. I think that's him at the Met, actually.
Could be.
So anyway, I know the one where he looks sideways and you see his glasses.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But anyway, we stretched all 90 rubber bands. We lost a few rubber bands along the way.
Yeah.
As we talked about before.
You and I talked about, yeah.
I think there was some issues with some timid playing, where I heard some playing that he asked where they really gave what he asked for. Mm-hmm. There was a bit of unpleasant tone, and it's like, okay, well, we've just revealed a limitation there.
Yeah.
And those kinds of things are fixable, but the orchestra is going to have to work with it, and I'm very interested to see how this turns out, because this is going to be an interesting relationship. He's here for 4 years at least, maybe more, maybe not.
Oh, yeah.
But
probably.
We'll have to see how well the orchestra is going to work under
I
him.
enjoyed that concert because now we know what this orchestra can and cannot do. For sure.
Yeah, to an extent. Well, they can't maybe play that fast, that loud, that long. But, I mean, does anybody? I mean, is that right to play Mahler that way? Right. I kind of look at that as like, I think he was carried away.
Could be.
Justifiably, it's your first night out. I'd actually like to hear it again later in the season. And this is the reason for criticism. Because you put yourself out there in the public eye. Mm-hmm. People respond to you, hopefully with cogent observations.
Right.
And then you say, let's fix that and that. You come back later in the year and people say, what a difference.
Sure.
That was fixed, and then maybe it wasn't even what you mentioned.
Yeah.
That was different, and that was certainly different. But if in the modern age, what's the rationale if you get like a short burst and it never comes back? Right? So what is there to fix? Why criticize? It sounds like you're only trying to run down the enterprise, and say discourage people from going. That's not it at all.
Yeah.
That's not it at all.
No.
But, maybe this isn't the review you wanted to hear, but this is what happened. This is what I heard.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one that heard it. So
it's a little bit like the Last Jedi, the movie. You didn't see it.
No.
In the theater, I was like, oh yeah. Oh, this is great. And then
I've never seen anything past the first 3 Star Wars movies.
Of course you haven't. And then on the way home, like, well. And then the next day, and then like the further away I got from that movie, the more I found it to be a little bit. No, that movie particularly to be unsatisfying. That was not my experience with. I still found it to be satisfying concert experience. However, the further I got away from it, the more I felt as if it was a little bit on the try hard side. So that there was an effort made here, an enormous effort, and I admire the enormous effort.
And also, Mason Bates. Will you guys get over Mason Bates? Mason Bates is a freaking percussionist. He doesn't know the first thing about melody.
Yes.
I'm tired of it. Okay, we did that for 2 years in a row. Can we do something else now?
Yeah, I'm sure. Well,
sorry.
Yeah.
Can we have maybe a violinist composer? Ooh, what a concept. How about a vocalist composer?
No, they can't compose. They're not even musicians.
No, we're not. We're not musicians. You have the singers and the musicians.
And the musicians make music. The singers are music.
Yeah, exactly. We carry our instrument with us.
Anyway,
so this is my sort of caveat about criticism. Now, if you read in the newspapers, criticism is dead.
Yeah.
Why bother to criticize a one weekend performance?
I would call it jingoism.
Well, either that or it's just boosterism.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, if you read, go and read
Union Tribune.
Go and read the Union Tribune review. Does that sound like the concert? Did she go to the same concert I went to? I don't think she did. All she's doing is boosting. Right. That's what that is. It's boosterism. Yeah. Now, look, I'm boosting.
That's what this whole channel's about.
No matter what, go to the symphony. Yeah. That's what I'm telling you.
Right.
Whether you like, whether it's perfect or not, it's still the San Diego Symphony, and you still need to go.
Yes.
But there, why not point out, how we might get to what I'm sitting there, driving and listening, running people off the road, listening to Barbirolli, swerving wildly and conducting while I go, and I'm thinking, I wish I'd heard this. But this is not what I heard.
Yeah.
And I like this better than what I heard. Yeah. Not that I don't like that. I liked that. I like I like that it happened, and I like Mahler's music. I'd like to hear it played a little differently.
That's all. Just one man living one life.
And those are some very specific points as to how it might be played a little differently.
Yeah. And I'll go back to that try hard. It was an enormous effort of energy, but it was an effort. And what we want is something effortless. It didn't feel like it was in the flow.
Well, it's what you're talking about, the fact that the mainly Mozart Orchestra
is just unfair.
But even so, the fact that there is, but the point is the same. They reduce the friction between you and the mind of the composer.
Yep.
Because what you get is the feeling that
better than any orchestra
that you're ice skating. Or that you're flying, effortlessly.
It's just like
the music just happens instead of the music having to try to happen.
Right.
And what we need is to reduce that friction. And personally, I thought a little more elasticity in the playing might have achieved that.
Yeah.
So,
so the next concert that you and I will be able to hear with PRA conducting is a Beethoven Piano Concerto No. 4, which I love, and.
Well, you know me. I'm a big fan of 3. But
I know you are. But the opening of the 4th is, it's very simple, and in its simplicity, it is profound beyond words. I love it.
Well, we'll touch on that as the date comes closer as well.
And then the Tchaikovsky Symphony No. 6.
The Pathétique again.
Yeah.
Well,
we talked about the Pathétique at Opera Pacific.
I tend to think that that's going to go differently than the Mahler did, because it's not as contrapuntally as complex as the Mahler.
Yeah. No, that's scherzo. I don't know if it's a scherzo, but the third movement is going to be electric.
Right.
Yeah, and then we'll see that final movement is it's a tough nut to crack.
We'll get a talk in on the Tchaikovsky on that program as we get a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Something for you to look forward to at home.
Yeah,
put it on your calendars.
That's right.
Next Thursday
for you scoring at home.
Yeah, so far it's
I'm going to call that one a tie.
it's a draw.
Yeah, it was
No,
listen, if you thought it was a victory,
it was not a
think
failure. It was not a failure by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, but it was.
I mean, I was shouting bravo at the end.
Yeah.
I gave him a full kudos.
We'll see you next time
Okay.
on
Classical Rebellion.